Hey, we're back. At least I'm back. We'll see if Lee joins in shortly. He said he could only stay for an hour, so he might pop in and pop out. We don't know. So I'm going to go ahead and drop a link, and we'll get this party started. And it doesn't matter, guys, if you've got one hive or 1,000 hives. Please, if you want to join in. Hey, SC. If you want to join in, come on in. Let me pin that to the top of my channel over here. Pin message. Great. It's up to the top. You notice I got sporting the Game of Drones shirt from my merch store. See, hey, there's Rick. Let's get Rick in here. Rick, what's up, brother?
Hey, Beck. What's going on? Hey, I wanted to tell you, I went out and checked my hives yesterday. I did a short video for you and posted it. I think I caught a swarm.
Oh, you're the man.
Well, here's the thing. I put this 5-frame nuke out there, and I bought this lure this lures in bees. You put it in your garden to help pollinate your vegetables or whatever. It's just a lure to call them in. I put it inside the hive, and I sprayed some of that swarm commander on it and on the outside, and there is activity on that thing. And there are bees going in and out. I took the honey super off of it, and there's like 2 or 3 frames that's just loaded. I think I might have a queen in there. I want to take it apart tomorrow and see if I got a queen in there, because if there is, it means I caught a swarm.
That's awesome. When did you spray the swarm commander?
And this like the spring. I mean, it was like when the weather first broke. It was like a month ago.
Nice.
Maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago. But I only sprayed like 2 sprays. I put 1 spray inside and 2 sprays outside, you know, where the entrance is.
I'm actually going to your channel right now oh, why did I do that? Wrong button. I'm going to your channel right now. You said you just posted a video on it?
Well, I walked by it and I noticed there's a lot of activity, and I just made the statement that I'll go through it tomorrow or later.
8 hours ago?
Yeah, it's probably about, I think it was yesterday.
5354 HISH is the last video title I see over there. Let me see. All right, so I'm gonna actually copy and paste that over here.
Okay.
Is that your first swarm catch?
That's my first video and my first swarm catch.
Wait, that's your first video ever?
Yep.
So there's another Rick's Bees then, because he's got 60 subs.
No, I don't have that many. I only have 1. I don't even know. What's that?
And it's Rick, just like your name is on the screen right now?
It's Rick Morris.
It's just Rick Morris, not Rick's Honey.
Right.
Okay.
MORSE.
Rick Morris TV. Rick Morris Fishing. Rick Morris. Why can't I find you?
Probably because I like to be incognito.
Maybe I need to do the capital. It's not Rick Morris Bees. It's just Rick Morris.
Right.
I might have to get you to share that. We'll get you some subs over there to check it out. And
well, I need to do it better. Let me do another video. I want to do one on that nuke, because that's cool. If I did catch a swarm, and it's just a short video. It's like 2 minutes.
If you've got a few frames of bees in there, you got a swarm, brother.
Okay, cool.
If it was robbers, they would just be in there all over the place and going in and out. But if you've got, like, if they're on the frames,
yeah, they're clustered.
Yeah, it's a swarm. You caught a swarm in there. Good job.
Freaking awesome. I can't believe that.
Free bees, bro. Free bees. That's the way we need it.
That's right. That's right.
Oh,
that's right.
We got Brad as well.
What's happening?
What's up? You watching
What's
up? You watching the Popo over there?
Yeah.
Still watching Cops?
Yeah, it's playing right now.
Man, how do you get your house so quiet? Is the wife and the dog gone?
No, the dog is staring at me right here on the floor, and my wife is in her office.
Yeah, I'm trying to link him in the chat, but I can't because I can't find him on YouTube. I don't know how to find you on YouTube. Matter of fact, you can go to Rick. Are you on a phone or a computer? What are you on right now?
I'm on a phone.
I
can get my computer up though. I can do that if you want me to.
If you do that, where you I'm just trying to get the link. If you could copy the link and share it on the live stream, then people.
Okay,
can,
let me hop off of here and I'll get on my computer.
All right, then come back after you do it, or join the link from your computer if you got a camera on it.
Yeah, I will. Okay.
All right. Yep. Cool.
Later.
Brad has a dog. That's debatable. Dry Cut says.
No, it's not debatable. She's right there staring at me.
He's questioning your dog's doghood.
Oh.
So hey, I took your Pro Nuke suggestion, kind of how you cut it out, but I just drilled a 3/4 hole in those 2-frame nukes.
Yeah.
And then I took a 1/16 drill bit and just drilled 1 or 2 little holes right here in the top of a half pint, and then just flipped it over on top of the hole with some 1-to-1 in it. And they drank it down. They drank the 1-to-1 down. Yeah, I put a little bit of 1-to-1 with a little bit of apple cider vinegar in there, and let them go. And they polished that off pretty good. But I could take these lids off and put them on a bigger jar if I wanted to.
Oh yeah.
I just really wanted to see the rate that they would take them down, or if they would take them down. And most of them have finished that half pint off in about a half a day.
Did you check down the bottom, make sure it's not dripping to the bottom?
No, but I took the jar off and saw that there was bees jammed up in the 3/4 hole. So I don't know how they could get the drip. Couldn't even make it to the bottom through them. But
that's good. If they clustered around it, then they taking it down.
So that's a good thing. And you didn't see where I had the queen fly off?
Yeah, I seen that this morning, but I wasn't watching it whenever it happened. I just heard you talking about it after.
Oh, the language. Sorry. I should have been bleeping it. Well, I was excited first because I caught it out of the air, and then it walked out of my hands, and I caught her again, and I put her down on the frame, and she walked on the frame, and this one took right off into real fast. I was like,
that was a mated queen.
That was one of the queens I got from Jose.
Man, because I have, of course, yours haven't been laying for a couple of days, but so she might have been light enough to fly. But I was marking some today out of my little mating nukes, and I marked one because I hold them in my hands while I mark them, and I dropped her because I don't like to hold them too tight. I hold them by the legs,
right?
And she took off and she flew only about 3 feet and landed right on the ground. She couldn't go.
Yeah, this one took off. It went, and I was like, well, mated queens aren't supposed to be able to fly. And then someone said, I forget who said it in the chat, but they made a good point. They said, well, then how do swarms fly? I said, well, that's because they run her around and supposedly don't let her lay and loses body weight.
Supposedly they stop feeding her and then she loses weight and they run around so she don't lay, and then she reduces down from not laying and she gets light enough to fly.
But then see, it was like I had her in my hand like this, right? So then what do you do? When you got her like this, what do you do? It's like I got the open box, so
the only thing I know is the way I do mine, I'll catch them. And if I'm going to lose them, I surround them with one hand, and I take my queen catcher, and you just barely crack a hole with your
cage. You just let her go in the cage.
I put the cage at the edge of my thumb, and when they see daylight, they head for that hole. and they'll crawl right in the cage.
See, that's what I should have done, but yeah, I was like,
when you have them in your hand, wherever you open your hand up, and they see daylight, they coming out. So you can put that queen cage right over that hole in your hand, and she'll walk right in.
Yeah, that's the reason why I don't mark queens. That's happened once to me when I was trying to mark a queen, and once when I was releasing a queen, which was they had already eaten the candy out of the hole, but there were so many bees jammed in that little cage. I was like, well, maybe I just pop it and let her out. And she went down, turned around, came back up, and I'm like, what are you doing? And she started to fly, but she was doing a little short flight. I grabbed her out of the air and went to put her back in, and boom, back up in the sky. I was like, man, come on.
That's amazing.
So I need to, and then I put feed on them today. So I'm probably going to go out there tomorrow and take that frame that she was on and put her, or put that frame with all those bees in one of my weaker 2-framers, and try to put them together. Well, there's Rick, but no sound, no camera right now.
I was having trouble with mine.
Try to put them together.
My camera didn't want to come on, and I don't know what was going on.
But no sound, no camera right now.
I ain't got no sound.
Well, you do now, but you got to mute the actual YouTube channel. Are you on? You're on through the link, right? Obviously, because you came in. So mute the tab.
I ain't got no sound.
All right. So, Rick, you got to close down the YouTube feed or mute that tab, and then you won't have a loop going on. And my wife's over there gaming. That's why I've got my camera.
Okay, I think I got it now.
All right. Yeah, it sounds like I don't hear a loop anymore.
I don't know about the camera though. What the heck's the deal with the camera?
It looks like it's covered up or something. I don't know.
I don't know where the camera is on this computer. Is it on top?
Is it a laptop or?
Yeah.
It's the center top.
Yeah, it's usually right in the center.
I don't know.
About the same place you're rubbing the microphone right now.
Yeah, that's what it looks like, but I don't know. What
game are you playing over there, Amy?
Lost Ark.
Lost Ark. She's playing. So she doesn't want to be on camera either. She's kind of Laurel-esque when it comes to that, but she's not silent. My wife is not a silent wife. She'll let you know what time it is. At least she lets me know what time it is.
Oh. Why you make me look so bad, Mom?
You hear? Why you make me look so bad, Mom? Hey, why are you trying to front for all these people? That's what I want to know. Oh, my gosh. But, yeah, so what have you been doing today, Brad? Rick?
Well, I was the reason I was marking some queens was because I was pulling some frames out in those 3-framers and in the 5-frame nukes because I was stocking up my 7-frame apame with a whole bunch of nurse bees to start doing a little bit of grafting.
I'm thinking half of me wants to go out to these colonies and take a pro nuke. Just take the frames out of the pro nuke, close it down, and use it just like a box, right? Just shake a bunch of bees in it.
Yeah.
And let the foragers fly off, and then just go stock all these 2-framers up.
That's what I used to transfer my bees to my 7-framer. I went around, I had a pro nuke, and I went around and I just shook them in there.
Those things are useful. They're light.
Yeah, I know. I closed down the 2 sides, and then I just, after the field bees flew out, I just put the cover on and went on to the next one.
That's kind of, I don't know. Now I feel like I'm spending so much time on my 2-framers that I'm neglecting my big hives out there. And then after I dropped the video yesterday, I put the excess feed that I had made for the 2-frame nukes. I went ahead and poured it in the chicken feeder, and the bees got on it. So it tells me there's less nectar going right now than there was, obviously, 3 weeks, a month ago.
Yeah, not for us. Right now, it's
Pumping.
it's slamming right now.
And we're probably a couple weeks behind you. You guys went through a little lull there, didn't you?
Yeah.
So maybe that's what's happening right here, right now, is a little lull. And
Yeah, like 2 weeks ago, there wasn't anything coming in.
That was on cardboard.
And now that the tallow is up, it's just they're building up so fast. In fact, the nukes I found when I went in today looking for the queens, the nukes were plugging out the brood box. They were backfilling with nectar.
really,
Yeah.
so tomorrow you're telling me I got to go check everything.
Yeah, because the queen had nowhere to lay, because everything that was open was filled with nectar.
That's well, I know you watch. I know most people don't watch all my videos. I understand that. That's just one of those things. They're long. That's not the point. I understand most people aren't going to watch them all. But did you see the video I did yesterday? That first colony that Ricky and I went through, that Demeray?
Yeah.
And how many bees were flying around and everything?
Yeah, you had a bunch of bees.
That is how that first Demeray was supposed to be. But I kept going and robbing queen cells and brood out of the top. And that top box had, before I did the Demeray, had 9 frames of brood in it. Cap brood. She had nowhere to lay. So I took 1 frame out and put it in the bottom, and 1 empty frame where I took that one out in the top, right? Which lets all of those up top hatch. But it gives her a new place to start in the bottom. They start drawing the comb out and give her a place to lay immediately. And so I had those like about 8 frames up top that still had some capped on it that had hatched out. And then the bottom, she had about 6 frames that had been drawn up that she had laid in. So, that's a ton of bees that now are getting to work the honey supers. Now to be my luck. This is my luck, guys, that the nectar flow had just shut off and they'll eat everything they stored, right?
Well, do you know about the Ceracell feeders, top feeders?
I've got 2 of them. Well, I haven't given them a good review in the past. And my thing is I check my colonies pretty regularly. So if you've got syrup in there and you put too much, then you're moving around basically an open tank full of feed trying to do an inspection. But, if you fill them up and leave them there and the bees go to work on it, yeah, they'll definitely drink it down. And the top feeder is better for the 10 frame than it is for the 5 frame, because the 5 frame is too small containers with a piece of wood, and it just sits on top. So bees can land on a nuke and they can walk up under the cover and walk in between the 2 feed dishes. Now the problem is that if your lid is not perfectly flush with those containers, the bees and ants can get in there and go down and drowning. So you'll have a lot of bees drown from that aspect. But the ones from the bottom can come up no problem without drowning. It's just the outside bees can come in.
I noticed that a lot.
Do you have the 5 frame or the 10 frame one?
Both.
I've got two of the 10 frames and 1 of the 5 frame ones. And I used them for a little bit, then I took them off. I went to some frame feeders. I've never put a frame feeder in a box like a 10 frame with a box and then a frame feeder over it. So I don't know if maybe that's a good thing, putting it on top, or
well,
what.
Here's a setup I have on most of my hives. I have the brood chamber, then I have the honey super, then I have a queen excluder, then I have a flow hive, and then on top of that, I'll have the syrup of the Cell feeder.
Well, the only thing is here, if
I don't know if that's a good setup. I thought maybe it would be.
If they're storing nectar away, I wouldn't have the feeder on top myself, because they're going to store that in with your fresh honey, which that's what most people will say that's funny honey, because it's not 100% honey, right? But it depends on what you're doing. If you're not harvesting honey and you're just going to leave it on the colony for them to drink it, or take it, then that's,
Well, that's what I was hoping they'd do with the first super, is use that this winter. Fill it up with honey and then use it this winter, so I won't have to feed them so much, because I'm hoping I could just get away with feeding them some fondant, or something over the winter.
Well, that's kind of what I did last year. Well, I do it every year, just make sugar bricks. Brad, is that what you did, sugar bricks? He ain't listening.
Right.
Bradley, come in, Brad.
Hey.
I said, is that what you did? Put sugar bricks on in the wintertime?
I made them sugar bricks, and a lot of them, I left a lot of honey on it. But for like the nukes and stuff like that, I just made sugar bricks.
People like, why you put sugar brick on? I put the sugar brick on because it's insurance, right?
Yeah.
Just in case they run out. If they run out, because if they're clustered, they're not going out, right? They're not going to go out to get it. They're going to go up. I saw something very cool yesterday, and I didn't have a camera with me to film it when I was with my nephew. Remember how I said that when I went and got those queens from Cudic, that he showed me a video of a bee grabbing a hive beetle and flying it out?
Yeah.
Really?
I saw that yesterday. I saw the beetle, and I saw the bee kept coming and grabbing it and dragging it towards the door. And it was like spinning it around, and it grabbed it, and then it just flew off with it and took it away. Don't know where it took it to, where it dropped it to. I wish I would have had the camera going where I could have showed you guys these bees. But all of those nukes I moved over there to the chestnuts / strawberries, because it's close to the strawberry pasture, are doing really good. They're about 3 frames, right? They still have room, but they're doing really good. I haven't put any feed on them, nothing. They've just been out there doing their thing, and I've got a bunch of stuff to do, man. Getting into the fall, I'm gonna have to start building feeder rings. Right, I've just got the feeder rings I've had, but I've got a lot more colonies now. So feeder rings, gonna have to vent them, put screen on them, all kinds of stuff.
Hey, Bob.
Yes, sir.
Lee didn't want to come on, but he's steady commenting in the comments.
Yeah, he's right there watching us.
Yeah.
He's watching. See, this is twice he's left me hanging.
Mm-hmm.
You're lucky you're paying for this service. If you weren't paying for this software, man, we'd have a totally different discussion. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just, he's probably sitting there eating his nachos. But
y'all have a software or something that y'all have to have the lives?
Well, the StreamYard, when I started doing the StreamYard, I was using you can do it for free. But you got a limited number of streams you can do. And Lee had a paid version. He's like, well, I got the paid version. Of course you do, Lee. You got everything's paid version. I don't even pay for my Windows on this computer that I'm streaming from. It's says to activate Windows, because you can use Windows for free. I mean, you lose some of the stuff you can do, I guess. But I didn't activate these are unactivated Windows we're going from right now. $2,500 computer, too cheap to activate Windows. So there you go. That's how that works. Y'all talking about feeding bees. We're talking about making honey. I know. Well, they're kind of one and the same. Kind of. I try not to. This time of year, I really try not to feed. But then I was like, well, I need to put something on these 2 framers, because they don't have the resources that these bigger colonies have on them that I've got on the other side of the yard. But then I was like,
it's all nurse bees too. They're not flying out yet.
Yeah, very few flyers. So the thing is that if I put feed on them, then I'm like, are the big colonies just going to come over here and, jack them up? So that's why I put an open feeder out. They know where that open feed is. And I was wondering if they were even going to hit it. And yeah, they took it. They took it down today. So
All my bees are heading across the road to go to this. They planted a bunch of mustard this year. Usually they plant corn or beans, but
mustard greens.
They got mustard.
Well, I wonder, does mustard make honey?
That's what I was wondering.
I'm sure it might have a pollen or nectar or something.
Oh, they're bringing in pollen from it. I mean, like crazy. They're still bringing in pollen.
So I'm
Hey,
probably
Bob,
good.
I didn't notice your entrances on your little two framers, but are they all the way across the bottom?
Yeah, they are just like a nuke. So I did something on one of them, and it works pretty good. The little queen boxes that I got from Jose actually are almost perfect size for a queen reducer. I can put in half of it, right? Just flip it, spin it in, and then they can just use half of it.
Because during robbing, I only left like a 3/8 inch opening for just enough for one bee to go through, maybe
right?
two, and that way there's always a bee in the door, and it keeps them from robbing them small hives.
I've got some screen. I'm probably going to use the screen, but the guys, you guys all know that. Here, look who the cat drug in. I've got some screen. I'm probably going to.
Hey, Lee.
What's up, how y'all doing tonight?
But the Andy's looping. Listen to him loop. Come in and now we got a loop. Oh, here, look. What are you, a rookie?
I'm a rookie. I was in here moving stuff around, waxing frames, eating, and forgot to mute it.
I'm a rookie.
You might as well have showed your face. You were up in the comments the whole time.
Yeah, I was in the back waxing frames.
Yeah.
How's everybody doing tonight?
We're doing good, man. Good to see you. Oh, look what I got. Jose sent me an invoice, a paid invoice in the mail.
Stickers.
He sent me a smoker because I don't ever use one.
Hello, good.
Larry said that you can only get pollen from mustard, not nectar.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, that'll feed the babies. That's good.
Yeah.
I don't know how much their pollen, how beneficial it is to the bees, but I guess if they're getting it, then that must do something for them. They know better than we do, right?
Yeah. At least going to help out a little bit.
Yeah, Larry Gandy said, I don't feed until the flow is over. Workforce is a different issue when you are dealing with nukes. Yep. So
hey there, Ricky.
That's the building bottom boards today for my splits. Good deal. Hey, Rick said he caught him in a swarm. Was out there and noticed some bees moved into one of his colonies.
Ricky?
Rick, right here on the stream.
On here, okay.
I haven't seen the link to your channel pop up. Did you drop it in there, Rick, in the chat?
Dude, I'm so stupid when it comes to computers. I don't know how to do that.
Just go to
share
YouTube to your channel, and if you
got some grandkids,
can he put a comment into the regular comments right now? And I can pull his channel. Should be able to that way.
Yeah, if you see there's a comment on the screen for you right now that you're looking at with us on it, there should be a comment tab. If you click that, you can copy and paste that from your computer and drop it in there. Yeah, I can't find his channel. I saw Rick Morris TV.
Well, he can just make a comment and it'll pop up.
Yeah, if you just make a comment in the chat, and then we can probably find you that way.
He may have to do it in the YouTube chat itself if he has that open and muted.
I don't know.
Not in StreamYard.
Oh, that's right.
But I found frames. I'm like, well, I'll go ahead and put them together to see what I got. And I haven't started that yet. But, you know, these 2-frame nukes were kind of because I had queens coming, right? So so since Monday, I've been messing with building stands, painting 2-frame mating nukes, getting queens, putting queens in, making splits of nurse bees over, all kinds of stuff. It's taken my whole week up pretty much.
So Bob, how many hives you got that are going to be producing honey that you think you're going to be harvesting off of?
Not that many, not as many as I wanted to. You know, I came out of winter with 12, so it was my goal that those were going to be my honey harvesting colonies. But you remember I made those early splits, which was basically 25% of my colonies. So that really took me down to 9, and none of those took. So I've got some really puny colonies, and I've got some powerhouse colonies.
So far, I'm lucky on one of mine. You know, the one I had 5 supers on last year? That's that
Right.
queen that swarmed on me earlier this year. Well, most of my hives swarmed while I was working, but that one colony that I couldn't find my blue queen,
Right.
they've re-queened, and I got 4 supers on that hive now.
Now, if you had to give a percentage, how full do you think they are?
The top 2 boxes, 100% full, wall to wall and capped. Third box, 100% full, starting to cap, and I just added the 4th box.
Well, see, I've got like the colony that brand new colonies, right? That are really pumping it.
Some apples. You want some?
You know he wants some apples. Just look at him. He wants apples.
She's talking to the dog.
Oh, to the dog. You move the camera.
Yeah. This little thing will eat apples like a human being.
Mine like believe it or not, cheese puffs. The little cheese balls or cheese puffs, cheese balls.
Oh yeah, she'll eat any snack, but we don't give it to her no more because she has far too many vet problems. Vet bills. They very sensitive to eating like any kind of human food or whatnot.
All right, here's one. Here's a question. What do you look for as evidence of a recent swarm? Recent as in an hour.
Half the amount of bees that you did have in there 2 hours ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be very much lighter in the colony that you think they swarmed out of. The problem is a lot of times if you walk out there and you see them swarm, you don't know where they came from.
Yeah.
That's the typical issue that I've run into. So then I end up having to go through all my colonies to see, well, this is the one they came from. You know,
if I go out there and I see something like that, I'll kind of walk by each hive and just kind of crack the top, look in it, and kind of check the population, see how low it looks compared to last time that I checked it.
William says that dog looks sensitive in general.
Looks like a little rat terrier.
What kind of dog is it?
Teacup schnauzer.
Teacup schnauzer.
Really? Wow.
I had the miniature schnauzer, but not the teacup.
Yeah, she's full grown right now.
I got 3 dogs y'all can come get today. If y'all want Siberian Huskies, I got 3 older Siberian Huskies free to a good home. Come and get them.
Those things are noisy.
Mine are pretty quiet until they got to go out.
I've noticed they don't really bark a whole lot, but they kind of whine.
They just howl.
Yeah, they whine and howl.
Yep.
Just howl.
Hey, Larry, on my other hives, I got, I believe, 3 hives that got 4 supers on them, and the rest of them was either 2 or 3 supers.
Mine just haven't capped it up. I mean, I did that video yesterday, and I did the little shake test, and nothing was coming out, but they're not fully capped yet. But they're drawing comb like nobody's business in there.
I'd say 2 or 3 supers. The new nukes I got this year got 1 super on them. And the way Bob's talking about drawing comb, 2 days ago, I took out 1 frame. Well, I had a nuke that I transferred into a 10-frame box 2 weeks ago. That undrew out the additional 5 frames in that box. I pulled 1 frame out and put the NICOT system in there, and they done drawn that frame out about 3/4 in a day and a half, 2 days.
Yeah, I've
Hey,
noticed
Ricky.
the same thing. They drawing new comb out like crazy.
That's the like that the 9 frame deal. That worked like a champ. They were nice and fat, but they were not overly fat. I mean, they just pulled them out and it was like straight up and down. They weren't rounded and wonky looking, just straight.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the bees will sound different too when you go
Yeah.
in the colony.
They'll be a
They'll
little
be
bit
louder.
louder when that queen's gone.
You can definitely tell when you take the frame, when you even pick the frame out of the colony and you've got her on the frame that's in your hand. Give it a second and then listen to the bees in the box. They will be louder, especially if she's got a strong pheromone. Yep. They will be louder in the box even. I added wax to my plastic foundation, used up 3 pounds of wax, did 72 frames. I found, guys, when I say found, I've got a stack out there of medium acorn foundation still for frames that I never put together that's out in the box. And then I got frames. I don't know if the frames are mediums, deeps. I have no idea what they are. I got to put them together, which is a blessing because I was sitting there wondering about buying frames the other days.
I don't know if you can see how much wax I got on that.
Yeah.
They started drawing that out. I mean, as soon as you put it in there, they own it.
You did.
Yeah, you added that wax to it.
Yeah, it comes sprayed with wax, but
yeah, I get that from Better Bee with heavy wax on it, but I don't know how long it's been sitting in the warehouse, so I always roll fresh wax.
Yeah.
Well, I know they'll pull it out if it's been sitting in my shed for 2 years. I know that because they did that.
It's always more though. You can pretty much guarantee they're going to pull it out, right? If you do, if you roll on some fresh wax.
Yeah, if you roll fresh wax on it, they'll definitely.
I don't know if you can see. I got a 4-quart crock pot back there. I put my wax in there, melt that, and I use a little 4-inch roller.
I need to get
a foam roller.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess what I do.
Boom. I need to.
I need that brick.
Hey, that solar wax melter. It's funny because the wax that I've got some. Well, yeah, I've set the other pan in there, and I've just been like, if I scrape a frame or something, I just chuck it in there and then leave and just let it melt down. Don't even look at it. I need to really take that. Take the other. It's still got the initial paper towels that I put in there. I never replaced the paper towels. I just scraped out all the slum gum and throw it in a box. And yeah, well, the foundation will work straight out of the box for the most part. But what Lee's saying is he don't know how long that's been sitting in the warehouse. Premier's a newer company.
Yeah,
so
I notice if it's sitting in the warehouse for a while or it don't have a very good wax coating on it, they'll start drawing all kind of wonky comb, or you'll have good comb here, no comb, good comb. Mm-hmm. So I just recoat the whole thing,
which isn't a bad thing. So I should go ahead and wax up a bunch and get them ready, and then if I go out there and see some wonky comb, just go ahead and fresh wax them. Fresh wax will set them on fire when you have a flow. So. That's the thing. I'm gonna have to do some things that I haven't done in the past, So that goes back to what we were talking about on my little live stream, that every time you go out there, there's going to be new stuff you're doing and new stuff you're learning. And for me, that's like the best teacher. I don't know if even in a class, watching videos and stuff like that seems to help me better than. And putting my hands on it helps me better than just going out there. Yeah, the acorn has worked well for me. And that's what we've got here. Oh, look at who we got. What snack do we have tonight, Charlie?
What snack?
Yeah, what snack did you bring with us?
Popcorn.
I didn't bring any snack. I just got back from a party, so.
No pepperonis or anything tonight?
No, I had some bologna though.
So you doing all right today?
Yeah, not too bad. Did some filming today and yesterday. Went through the hives my honey hive yesterday, and of course this week it rained, and they didn't really put any honey away because of all the bad weather. And
Bounced out for some reason.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to you.
Yeah, sorry about that. Because I'm
But-
trying to figure out my camera.
so anyway, nothing really exciting.
I put some feeders on my two framers today.
Hey, Nancy. I got a friend of mine here that's actually,
Nancy.
yeah.
Yeah, she's been asking a few questions. 8 combs will give you fat comb and more wax to deal with. That's the
I just do it with a 9 comb, but yeah, they say 8 comb will draw it out even more.
well, I might have to stretch to 8 combs just to I don't know if it'll maximize what I've got in there or not. I did the shake test yesterday and nothing came out, but they're not really capping it yet, so I don't know what they're planning to do. They haven't sent me an email telling me their plans for the week yet, so it's supposed to be in the 90s all week this week, but I think we're hitting that little pause in the flow like you guys did a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, we had the privet flow come through and then it kind of died off. But that tallow, man, it's rolling hard right now.
See, I don't have any tallow right in my yard. I know we have it around here. I just don't know where it's at.
Well, the hurricane that come through here last year took out about 6 of my tallow trees on the back canal line. But we still got a bunch around here.
Is that what they make Tupelo honey out of?
Not that I know of.
That's another plant, isn't it?
I believe so.
I didn't know.
But I put those little feeders on. They're doing pretty good on those 2 framers so far. They sucked them down, that's for sure.
Quick way to find a queen is on 2 frames.
You would think. You would
Really,
think.
it's not.
If they're marked.
Hey, I've got a couple marked thanks to Ricky. I mean, thanks to Jose. Sorry, Ricky.
Hey, how easy were they to find?
Well, I'm going to tell you what. I was looking in the video, and I was talking about, well, I don't see her on this side, and I'm watching the video, and she's walking around with the yellow dot on the other side.
You was in there looking for her, and I was trying to hit the comment. I see her.
Yeah, she's on the other side of the frame. But then I found her right away when I flipped it over. So, it was. I found the one that flew off. I found her pretty easy. I saw her take off into the wind.
You never went back and check in the hive?
No, I'm going to check it tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
I'll go back and check. I mean, now see, that's the thing. She didn't have time to orient to that hive, so I don't know how she would have known to go right back to that colony, especially with all those, side by side.
Yeah.
So, Charlie, what had happened was they had eaten the fondant out of the California mini cage, right? So there was bees jammed into the little spot that the queen has in there. And I'm like, well, obviously they've eaten in there. They like her. So I had already done it on a few of them. Just popped the staple out and pull the screen back so she could get out.
Right.
And she went down a couple of inches, came back on top of the frame, flew up. I caught her out of the air. Went to put her back in. She went on the frame, and then she just took out 30 feet up in the tree. Just flew up, and I'm like, really?
I had that happen.
A few adult words came out, and
Yeah, I don't like that either, DC. It's too hard to see the eggs on the white foundation.
yeah, I've got I just use the white foundation in my supers. So either in my brood boxes are either black foundation or foundationless comb or foundationless,
Now, I went through one of my yards yesterday, and let's see, that's my number 2 yard. Pulled one hive apart. This was the brood box.
That's got a few bees in it.
As one of the supers They had 3 supers. I mean, just stuff full of bees plus the brood box. And I had to add a 4th super to that one.
That's
You gotta split that one. You got
Yeah.
plenty of bees right there to split.
Oh yeah, I can make a split and throw a queen in, but I'm just looking for a little honey production this year.
Oh yeah.
well, once the production's over, you can come back and split them down then, as long as you got a queen. Well, I mean, we're blessed with long queen rearing seasons down here.
Well, I checked my NICOT system today. They done drew it 3/4 of the way out. Got through the queen excluder, and they're polishing the cells up. So I may go in tomorrow and try to catch the queen and put her into the frame, lock her in, and let her lay that up.
And into what that new cot whatever system you got, one of those.
NICOT.
Yeah, you were talking about that earlier.
Yeah, I actually ordered the JZBZ system today too, and all the cell holders and some grafting tools.
You know the best way to place that on a frame?
What's that?
I got this double-sided tape.
But the problem is down here with double-sided tape is when it gets hot, it'll come loose.
Yeah, the humidity down here.
I didn't think of that. That might be a problem. I haven't used it yet, but I'm ready to use it.
Yeah, this is the one that I got today. Just give it a try.
There you go. Charlie, I just gave you a wrench on my channel. Dry cut, I gave you a wrench.
Hey, we got a new one down here.
I'm gonna give a wrench
What's
over there.
What's the wrench for?
That allows you to squash people.
Yeah.
It's just moderator.
Like if you see a bad comment, go to the right of it, and it'll have the 3 little buttons or 3 little dots. You can click that and tell it to block or report.
Also allows you to drop links in there.
Yeah.
Hey, Lance.
Hey guys,
I ain't never been given a wrench.
I don't think so.
I don't think I got enough signal to do this.
We can hear you, son.
We hear you. Your video's a little bit laggy. Maybe if you, Lance, what's your channel? Or do you have a channel? Do you have a YouTube channel?
Yeah, it's only got a few subscribers. I don't ever do any talking.
Well, we can fix that for you.
Yeah.
We can add a couple for you, probably. Cajun, you got to comment in the YouTube, and I'll toss you a wrench.
What's your YouTube channel, Lance?
It's a Gray Homestead.
Lee, you gonna drop the link?
I'm pulling it up now.
I got a question.
What's that?
What about bee stings?
Hey, I'm the king of bee stings.
I saw your video.
Bee stings hurt.
They hurt.
Hey, Lance, you got cattle and sheep?
Yeah.
Okay, I was making sure I was on the right channel. I'm going to drop a link to your channel in the comments.
So what's your question about bee stings?
So do I need to go on and get stung or don't get stung? I mean, I'm confused on what about that issue.
It depends on if you're allergic to stuff or not first.
I say try not to get stung,
Well,
and chances are you will get stung.
Like Bob always says, hope for the best, plan for the worst.
Yeah, my thing is, I could avoid getting stung. There's I don't light my smoker all the time. Most of the time, I don't light my smoker. To be honest with you,
smoker.
Yeah.
I don't, and
I don't see you ever use a smoker.
I used one yesterday. It went out, so we powered through it. But the thing is, for me, when I'm doing a YouTube video, if I've got my smoker right there and there's no breeze, then I could be standing in a cloud of smoke and nobody can see anything. You're gonna get stung, but you can avoid it. I mean, there's things you can do, right? Wear boots, wear white socks, probably help not get stung on the ankles. You'll see a lot of videos where people don't wear protective equipment at all, and some bees you can do that. Last week when I was in that colony, I could have probably done that. This week, they weren't having it for whatever reason. So I find that the bigger the colony gets, it seems like they get a little bit more aggressive. So managing population can help.
That's about all I wear. But I mean, if you don't think you're allergic to anything, I mean, I would say go for it. But that's just my opinion.
Oh, he's buffering. But yeah, I mean, to give you an example, in that yard, my nephew had no more clothes on than I had. He just had that veil like you did, right? He had a veil on. He had a long sleeve shirt. He had on some work gloves, and one tried to sting him on his work glove. But other than that, he didn't take any stings with all those bees flying there, and he was holding the GoPro, and I took them all. Ricky didn't get any. Well, Ricky had a full Guardian suit on, but Ricky is also allergic to bees, which I found out yesterday. So there you go. That's a brave beekeeper, an allergic beekeeper.
You don't wear shorts.
Well, he had shorts on when he came, but he put on long Guardian pants. So, yep, smoke them till their eyes water, like Dirt Rooster says. My thing is, I don't know. Laziness. Like I said, if you're going in a small colony, I can go out there with no gloves and everything, no problem. But for some reason, it don't matter if it's my shampoo or my deodorant or my laundry detergent or what. They just sometimes will fire me up. And
talk about hot hives, my number one hive before the nectar flow really started. I mean, you open it up and you want to be suited from head to toe. They have 4 supers on it now, and I can go out there with just my veil if they don't bother me.
Well, see, like right now,
coming, they fine.
And that could be something to yesterday, because like I said, I had that bucket of the chicken feeder out there open feeding. They were not touching it. And then I added some when I fed those 2 framers today just to empty out my feed bucket, and they went to town on it. So we might be in a small dearth, Yeah, it could be my soap. They may not like the dial, whatever it is, but since I bought a Sam size container of it, I'm going to have to deal with it. But hey, guys, just to give you an idea, I don't know if you could see them or not. I'll get close to the camera. But these were not like just the little sting. They were trying to kill me stings. Just the little sting. I don't know if you can see you see the right there?
Mm-hmm. Getting it in deep.
And I would show you the one that got me on the titty that everybody was laughing about. Ricky was laughing about, but I'm not gonna. No gratuitous nudity on the channel. But yeah, they were the ones that hit me were trying. They were like wrenching up, grabbing on, and trying to get it in there. Yeah, I tried to. I actually went to that. What's the sensitive baby formula? Look at those guns. Bob, you going to make some funny? Oh, well, like I said, I only put a little bit out there, and with the number of bees, the funny honey, my goal wasn't to feed them. My goal was to feed the nukes, and I had that left over in the bucket just a little bit, so I put it in the feeder. So I've got plenty of nukes and plenty of colonies that little bit of divided up feed ain't gonna do nothing. I've got plenty of nukes and plenty of. Why am I? I'm hearing a loop. Who's looping?
Yeah, I hear one too.
I'm out.
You're out, Rick?
Yep.
All right, brother. Have a good night. We'll talk to you later.
Evening.
Okay, later on.
All right, bye. But yeah, if you don't get stings from time to time, you can turn allergic. All right. I don't know what's going on now. All right, there we go. Brad, you're muted. Brad's watching Cops and sitting in a. I unmuted you. What you laughing about? Larry said, if you don't get stung from time to time, you can turn allergic from what you absorb off of your clothes. What did William say? I have TVs in my yard and play Barnyard Bees on loop so my bees know how to act. He's programming them. That's
Lord.
that's how he does his kids too, right?
Is that BCB do?
Bob, you know that as well. Barnyard Bees got some tame bees, but so do I when I'm in my 5-frame nukes. But as soon as I go mess with them big ones,
Just like Mr. Sam, huh, Bub?
it's
You
the
never.
same.
Hey, I love Mr. Sam. Mr. Sam told my nephew that yesterday. See how calm my bees are? He puts his hand down in there, right? And I'm like, yeah, that's very calm. And then when Sam walked off, I said, I'll tell you about them calm bees when we get to the house. You know, it in 5-frame nukes, when you got like 2-3 frames of bees, right?
Yeah.
They're
Well,
not.
I found in my yard, if a bunch of them hit my hand and I yank back real quick, that's when I get stung up. If I just leave my hand there and they just keep headbutting it, they fly off and don't even sting you. It's almost
Look,
like they're testing you.
You can tell what your bees are gonna do when you crack that lid.
And they start rolling out.
Either that or everybody turns and face you.
You know, I don't have that big a problem when they're looking up at me. I can grab the frame and they'll move, and there's not a big problem. But for some reason, when I open that top and I see them all come up to the top and they start covering like the pictures that Lee showed, then it's on, game on. Man, they're like.
Well, Miss Paul said he wearing a black shirt today, and they were hitting him. This is the shirt that I wore out there a while ago, solid black, and they didn't bother me. But I light my smoker and smoke my whole body down, basically.
But then I didn't, like last night after the stream, I went outside into my double. So this is a cheat hack that I did, right? Well, I call it a cheat hack. I didn't know what was going to happen, but on my 5/5s, I always pull one frame of brood to the center top, right, to bring bees up into the top. Well, what I've been able to do is go out to that brood frame because I know there's nurse bees on it, pull that frame out, and then I'll go shake it into my weaker 2 frame and bring that back, and it'll draw more bees up from the nuke. So I did it last night in pitch dark. I was like, I don't know how this is going to go. And no bees came off the frame and were aggressive with me. I had no veil, no gloves. I think I was in shorts then too. I'm wearing shorts now, but yep. And if you slow down, it'll help. Don't bump things.
They hit my hand and I yank. That's when they get me.
Don't take the queen excluder like I did and bang it and knock the bees into the bottom box. You know?
I got a habit of doing that. I take my migratory lids, all the bees that are left on. When I go to close it up, I don't want to squish them, so I just beat it on the box one time, let them drop, and then ease it on down.
And, you know, try to do it, well, as slow as I can, but at the same time, you want to get through your colonies, right?
Miss Nancy was asking here, well, wrong one.
I never did find Rick's channel.
How often do you wash your suit?
I probably need to wash my Guardian jacket for sure.
Well, what Nancy's talking about is the pheromones. It builds up on your suit and stuff like that.
If they get on me bad and just trying to sting the suit, yeah, I'll put it in OxyClean and wash it. Other than that, if I get real sweaty, I'll wash it. But if it's just a normal day, I'm usually just wearing the veil. But if I do put a suit on, depends on how much I sweat in it, maybe every week.
Well, what do you guys do with the gloves to keep the leather gloves from?
I wash them.
So I've washed them, but then when they dry out, they're like
They're stiff.
And they shrink.
I hang them to dry. Once they dry, I put on my hand and I just kind of crush them up back and forth, and it resoftens that leather.
I have on some older gloves trying to get them to fix. I got some saddle soap.
Yeah, does that work?
Not on those gloves. I ended up just getting rid of them. I didn't put them in the dryer. I just let them dry out, and they just shrunk up and got real hard, and ended up having to throw them out. Yeah, that's me too. I try not to get stung, but you know, it's gonna happen, guys. If you're a beekeeper, you're gonna get stung. I mean, sometimes I'm just walking through the yard. I could even be way away from the colonies and get zapped for no apparent reason. My wife says black reminds them of a bear.
I heard that too.
And the day before that, I was out there and I just had on a gray t-shirt, short with the same veil I had on yesterday and the coveralls, and no problem. Yesterday I had a long sleeve red shirt on, and they were tearing me up. So it just depends, I guess. Rick, what channel do you want to be on? Do you want to be on the one with the camera or the one without the camera? Because I got both of them in the feed.
It doesn't matter.
All right. Well, let's show everybody your lovely smiling face.
You want me to bring one up and knock the other out?
Yeah, knock the. There you go.
Yeah,
There you go.
Yeah.
Now we can see you.
Okay.
But now we're getting a loop from the second one. So whatever the other one was on, you probably have to turn that one
Yeah,
off.
I just took the other one completely out of studio.
Okay, now we're good.
What, the one that... No, I don't want to tell them that. I ain't going to tell you that story.
I like those coveralls. They are good. I only took one sock sting yesterday, so that was good. One
I
on the
don't
leg.
mind them on the arms. I don't even mind them on the face. I don't like the ankles.
Yeah, they'll through the socks. It's amazing how long their stingers through a piece of fabric can penetrate. You would think that
I gotta take off my black socks because all I got is black socks. I gotta take them off when I wear shorts. If I go out there with tennis shoes, because they will nail me in them socks.
I only wear black or gray socks.
yeah, my girls like to tell me they decide they don't. They decide they don't. I don't make mine. I used to. When I started, I was making some boxes. And then I found for the time and okay, so I'll give this story again. So a sheet of plywood, you can make what, 4.5 boxes, nuke boxes out of, which is $50. But then you got to go to the hardware store and buy it, right? Then you got to bring it home. You got to have I don't have a shop with all my tools set up. So then I'm bringing out sawhorses, bringing out the table saw, all that stuff. And then once you cut them and put them together, then you still have to paint them and everything. So the time comparison for me, for driving to the store, buying built boxes, and all I got to do is come home and paint them. Now, there's things that I don't like about the built boxes, but it's the time savings is not one of them. I like the time savings on it. Otherwise, I'd still be out there cutting those 2-frame nukes if I was making the 2-frame nukes, you know.
Yeah, with the amount of time that I have my regular work job, I don't have time to put them all together. I mean, that $2 extra they charge for already assembled to me is worth it.
Yeah, I mean,
I lost my thumb to a nuke box.
You lost your thumb to a nuke box?
Yep.
You're building a nuke box and hit your thumb with the saw?
Yep.
And
That's not good.
so here's a question. How much was that hospital bill?
I don't know. I didn't pay for it.
But it was worth had you had to pay for that hospital bill, you could have bought like all your boxes forever.
Oh, hell, don't I know. I
You know
know.
what I'm saying? I'm just saying.
I know. And I got another finger that's been broke.
From making bee boxes?
No, I was doing maintenance for Harmon Becker. And I retired from who was it? It was what the hell's the name of that company, Dad?
I don't remember.
Pfizer,
Pfizer.
that big drug company. And they make the drug for me, but it still cost me $1,000 a month.
1,400.
1,400.
Well, Nancy says don't wear gloves. See, that's the thing with my gloves is I've handled so many queens in those gloves recently. I've handled at least 100 queens with those gloves in the last 3 weeks, 3 to 4. We'll say a month. We'll give it a month. You know, and you can tell when you grab those cages and you put them in there, and and you go to the next colony, those bees automatically go to those gloves because now those gloves have those queen pheromones on them.
Mm.
And then you grab another one, and buy your equipment, build your bees. Ian Stepler.
Well, what kind of gloves were you wearing? Leather or
Yeah,
something?
the leather gloves.
Okay.
The leather gloves.
I always smoke my hands real good, and I don't get any bee stings on my hands.
I could probably go out there and just smoke a cigarette and be like,
I don't know. Maybe.
Hey, video that, Bob. We want to see.
I couldn't have done it yesterday. None of those
Yeah,
kinds.
especially when you put your face right next to the hive.
Yeah.
You
I
got
think,
you like hillbilly now. Use your beard to brush them off.
I
Yeah.
think
Yeah,
Bob
my beard's
Benny
not
had
long
a-
enough.
Bob Benny had a story about that when he first got into bees. Him and his dad were dealing with hives, and all they had were cigarettes, and they were trying to smoke the bees with cigarettes.
Hmm.
And
haven't-
that's
I haven't seen Earl for a while.
Yeah, I don't know. I saw him the other night. I tried to call him yesterday and went to voicemail. So he might be doing something for the long weekend or whatever. I don't know. I'm sure he might be watching. He might be sitting in the background right now. But I thought he'd find that interesting. That Cutic, you probably didn't hear this, Charlie. When I went out there, Octavio showed me a video, 2 videos. He showed me a video of an open drone brood that had a varroa mite on it, and that Cutic bees tearing off that varroa and ripping it apart.
Right.
And then he showed me another one with a hive beetle where it grabbed the hive beetle and flew it off out of the colony. Well, I witnessed the hive beetle yesterday getting flown off out of the
Really?
yeah, which I found that very interesting. It had one, I think I only saw one hive beetle in the colony, and it was on the bottom, and I added peppermint to it after the fact, but it was spinning around trying to get it in the bottom. Oh, he was there and then he was gone.
I clicked him in, then he went off.
And it was spinning around, and then it was dragging it to the entrance, and then it got loose and it came back in, and a bee came back at it and grabbed it, and it was spinning around, and then it drug it out and flew off. So
at least it proves that they do what they say.
yeah, it definitely did
You were
that.
saying you were having some queen issues with Cutic's queens. They weren't they weren't performing very well.
They just weren't very prolific when I started. Now the ones that Ricky got yesterday were Cutic queens, and I showed him the brood patterns. They had nice brood patterns. They're just not like just slamming it full. For whatever reason, they weren't. I mean, it could be.
I don't know. I mean, I've had that same issue here. I was wondering whether it was the cool weather. And I did go out into some of the hives that I had checked them several weeks ago, and I'm like, boy, these things are not really doing very well as far as laying eggs. And then when I went in there, I guess it was yesterday or day before, then I could start seeing some nice cat brood. So maybe they were just, because of cool and wet weather, and they weren't doing so well. But
well, we'll see. Time will tell. I mean,
yeah. I don't know. It's like some of my honey hives. I think there was about 3 or maybe 4 of them that were queenless, and I don't know exactly what the reason is. Whether or not maybe I've had them, or if you paint them, they'll get rid of them because they don't smell right, or were they just too old and fizzled out? I'm not sure. So,
well, I was able. I mean, some of them they're doing good. They're just taking more time than I would have imagined. I mean, I went out to those 2 framers today, and most of the ones, the queens that I put in there 2 days ago in those little California mini queen boxes,
yeah.
they've already been released. And I pulled one of the frames, and it had eggs in it. I mean, a lot of eggs in it. So I'm going to give it a couple days and see if those were her eggs or if they were just eggs that I didn't see when I moved them over there a few days ago. But
Are they Jose's queens?
yeah, if I would have moved them over there a couple days ago, though, you would think those eggs would have hatched, right? Or been bended over. But they were straight up. I'm like, that queen, if that was her eggs, she went right to work. She didn't waste no time starting to lay up in there. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But
And what kind of queens did he send you?
I've got some Italians and I've got some Carney, the Caucasian hybrid. So it's a Carney queen that was inseminated with Caucasian semen. So we'll see how that ends up.
The Caucasian, I think, what is it? They're the ones that do a lot of propolis and all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
Sue Kobe actually comes to his yard and artificially inseminates them. So that's the we'll see. I mean, that could have been one that flew off into the sunset, but she wasn't marked. The one that flew off was not marked. The ones that were marked were supposed to be the special ones.
I had the same thing. I think it was last year. You know, the bee was, like you said, it's in the cage, and it was almost completely released from the candy. And you know, you're going to help it out, and like you say, you put it out, and it was on the darn top bar, and poof, it's out in the air. Like, I should have just left it alone.
Right. That's what. But once she's out, once you've released her, then it's like I had her in my hands. I'm like, now what do I do with her?
Yeah.
And Cage is like, well, you take a queen cage, you put it there, and she'll walk back in the cage, and you can plug it back up. And I'm like, well, where were you when she was flying off? And I had her like this. I'm like, what's going on?
Well, I had them like that to where she started to fly off the frames, and like you say, I cupped her, with my hand over and kind of held her down to where she would run off down into the box, and after that, closed it up.
I wonder if I would have taken her to the entrance of the colony and put her on the landing board if she would have just walked into the darkness. Or if she would have flew off still.
Well, I would have tried to take my hands and cup her, so she wouldn't. It's a learning experience. To watch for that now, and that's a possibility.
Well, I had done 3 before that, and they all just came out and went down onto the comb, and no problems.
Yeah.
But it's always got to be that one bee that's either going to get in the camera or fly off. There's Lance's back. Hey, Lance.
Hey, I'm back.
You talking about this, Charlie? Whenever you setting your queen back into the hive?
Yeah, just like that.
Well, that's what she did, but she went down and then she came back up, and as soon as I saw her and went to go for her, she took off. And just like that, there he is. All right, he's back again. Did you even hear the answer to the question that we gave you, Lance? About the stings?
Not real, guys. Sorry.
Where are you located?
I was saying I've been stung by waspers, but not a bee yet, and I've got 2 colonies. So.
Where are you located? You sound southern.
Northern Arkansas.
Northern Arkansas. I try not to take stings, but I think that it's one of those things that as you get more comfortable, you're going to start shedding some of that excess gear. When it's hot out, you'll end up taking a sting. I don't know if I don't try to get stung. It just happens. And, especially the bigger your colonies get, I find the more aggressive they get, more defensive they're going to get. Now that
they're not nearly as painful as a
One
wasp.
more question then. What's too close to my house then for a beehive?
Well, you haven't watched my channel, have you?
Yeah, I have. It's right against your house. I've saw.
I've seen some people keep them up under their carport, and Hillbilly keeps them on his side deck. He goes out a sliding door, and they're right there. So
I think it would
Okay.
depend on how much traffic. I mean, where you're wanting to put them. Just say on one side of your house. Do you have kids that run around there? Do you have a driveway or elderly people walking by that area?
Yeah, I've got a couple of kids, a 7-year-old, and he has no fear of the bees right now. No fear.
that'll change first time he gets popped, probably.
Yeah, I know.
You know, everybody it has different setup, right, based on their property and how they're doing it. For where I'm at, it's not near my door, so
Mine is.
and
Mine's right outside the door.
yours right outside your door.
Yep.
So,
About
No,
20 feet.
They're a little bit from the house,
well, then you should be
but they're
fine.
in the yard.
Yeah,
They're
you should be
yard.
fine. I mean, mine are. I got to walk around my house, but they'll find stuff. You know what I mean? If there's rain in my grill or something, they'll be on my grill. They'll be on my leaky hose. But I tend just to walk past them like they're not there, and I usually am all right. You know, especially if they're out working. But when I go in their area and start breaking the colony down, I got one now that thinks they own the place. But you know, I try not to get stung, but it's going to happen. But what Larry was saying, if you're not getting stung and your suit's getting stung, that you can still have
Somebody
allergic
was
reaction.
Ash Flat.
Ash flat.
Yeah, I just had that pulled up and I lost who it was. Josh.
Yeah, I'm real close to Ash Flat.
Well, there you go. See, you guys
I'm
can
gonna get off
network
here and
together too.
text. My signal's terrible.
All right.
His
Well,
name?
Joshua at Rockin' Honey Bee Farm. So you can hook up with him. Maybe you guys can, you know, go to each other's yards and help each other out. That's what I try to do with people around here.
I'm a member of the local apiary, but
Now, from what I understand, I'm not a member of a bee club, but usually when we go live on here, we got anywhere from 30 to 58, 57 people watching at any given time, which most people say that's more than a bee club. So we almost got like an internet bee club right here. You know?
Is there any reason why you're not in a bee club?
Me?
I'm not in a bee club either, but I just want to know why. What do people get out of joining the bee club?
I
Well,
think hanging out like this to a point. But some of them, I mean, especially smaller people that don't have all the extraction equipment, some of your bee clubs actually own it and will rent it out to the different members.
Oh, really?
Yep.
I've
Yeah,
just never,
I mean,
I've just
In my
never
club,
been
we
to a-
actually have 2 extractors and the uncapping equipment where if you're a member, you can borrow it. It's free.
Okay.
And then also our club, sometimes we get some grants and things, and we are able to, let's see.
Why is this not a bee club? Because we don't charge membership.
Yeah.
But you
We
can
help,
if you want
we
to
help
charge.
our members,
Donations accepted.
help our members buy varroa mite, treatments and stuff. We subsidize. That's the word I wanted to say.
Well, the good thing is, I mean, you guys can go in at certain times a year and say, okay, this is what we're using to treat. We're going to get Apivar. We're going to order it on this date. If you want some, you can order it here and we'll get a cheaper rate if we order it all together, right, in bulk.
Right.
So that's
What we do. We actually poll our members, and we get 4 or 5 different types of treatments. You know, Apivar, Aprigard, Hopguard,
just whatever the people
Plummet
use.
Pro. Whatever the majority of the people want.
How many
That's some of the
people
things that we do. I mean, I put out a newsletter on a monthly basis, especially for the new beekeepers, that help them, guide them, through the year. and there is a camaraderie thing, and we also try to provide mentors for new folks, and so it's it's a good community thing for local community.
Right. So here
How
we're
many
all
in your
spread
club?
out, right?
Yeah, I mean, as far as here's on this internet thing, but I've said, I mean, beekeeping is you might have differences in location and weather and timing, but beekeeping in general was pretty much the same. And well, like Bob, I mean, you were trying to make splits, and I'm looking at what you did on some of your videos, and like, hey, you need more bee population in order to make a successful split. So those types of help amongst us doing all this and answering people's questions is, I think, a very positive thing.
I think so as well.
Larry,
TV, are you in a club?
Here. Was that?
Are you in a club?
No. My time constraints with my work, though. I mean, I never know what hours I really work. So I just don't have time. And then, as far as I know, the nearest one's all the way in Baton Rouge. With traffic,
okay.
it'd take me 30 minutes or more, 45 minutes sometimes to get there.
I'm in a club, Brad. In the 2 years I've been there, I've been to one meeting. But I did go to like the yearly conference, though.
Oh, okay.
Well, like Hive Life?
Yeah, it's just a local, kind of a little local deal.
But they, I mean, definitely nothing against. I'm not against joining one. It's just I haven't, for whatever reason.
I've just never been to one.
Obviously, the local yearly conference was pretty underwhelming, considering I had just been to Hive Life conference not too far before that. So
Right.
that's the only bad thing about that.
At my local farmers market, I mean, I've met several beekeepers there that are members of different clubs and told me, hey, come check us out this day or whatever. And then I'm usually working.
Well, one of the main reasons I joined, well, I was hoping to maybe, meet some people and stuff that hasn't worked out too well. But also I eventually, as I get better at grafting and stuff, I want to sell queens. So I think if you're going to sell bees or queens in your area, and you might as well be a part of the club, because then that's people will be more likely to purchase from you if they're kind of have seen you around and trust you and stuff like that.
Yeah, a little
Well, the
networking.
biggest thing is they know that you exist within a club.
Kind of get your foot in the door with
Yeah,
it.
there's a network there.
Yeah, you're not just some random guy on Facebook that's like, I got a nuke, and they're like, who's that? You know what I mean? Like, but if they see you at the yearly deals, or you're always in the Facebook stuff, then I feel like they'll be more likely to be like, oh yeah, that guy's probably got decent bees,
Now, I am a member of our local groups, our local club's Facebook page. So I do follow a lot of stuff that they're talking about on that and look at it. But, some of the groups that I see on like the Book of Faces is just there's an ulterior motive. And when I say that, like you'll see somebody say, hey, I need a mated queen. Okay. And I put on there, well, I've got mated queens. Then, just like you're saying, if they don't recognize you or don't know you, then all of a sudden my post disappears, right? Or because the moderator, this actually happened to me, because the moderator actually also buys queens, or he actually contacted me about buying queens, but he wanted like a ton of queens, right? Because he's a big nuke provider. Well, I can't generate the price that if I grafted them myself, right? I'm not going to give you $18 queens. That's not my game. My game is I need one queen, I need two queens, right? So that's how I do it. But if in fact you need that many queens, and we did get to talk and stuff, but when I made the post, all of a sudden my post gets taken down, right? It's the South Carolina beekeeping group, the whole state. South Carolina Beekeepers. You're asking for a queen. I've got one. You take it down. I didn't put a price, nothing. PM me if you need a price. But mine got taken down. But then the next day you'll see I've got nukes for 150 over here or whatever. So it's a little bit, like you said, underwhelming. It's like, well, I'm trying to help somebody out, and because you also sell those things and you run the group. Now my comment's gone, right? So
there's definitely, especially in my area, there's definitely like a core group of people that are like the inside, and there's everybody else is kind of.
Now, where are you located at, William?
I'm in like northeast Oklahoma, like Tulsa, Oklahoma area.
Okay.
But what I have noticed is my honey people that have bought honey from me, I'll see them tagging me in posts. Like if they're in another group and someone in that group, where can I find local honey? They'll quick throw me out there as a resource. So it's, both sides, even just regular. I know a lot of people are against Facebook. I'm not on it like I used to be, but definitely if you're selling honey and you've got yourself a page for, like, I've got a Walker Bee Ranch page. If I post my honey up on there, people will share that out and try to help you out in your local community.
Like Texas Beekeeper says here, I mean, it's a good place to meet people that need bees on their property. I was at the local farmers market the other day, and one of the other vendors there has 5 acres full of fruit trees. Well, he wants only 2 or 3 hives on the property just to help pollinate. Well, that's a 35-minute ride for me. I said, to be honest, it wouldn't be worth my time driving that far for just 2 hives. I said, now I got a buddy that lives maybe 5 miles from you in the same little town. I can give him your number. In fact, Ty Kent that comes on here every now and then. So I gave him him, and they're going to hook up and get some bees put over on the property.
Yeah, so Facebook Marketplace is kind of weird too. They will only let you list certain things on there. Like I can't even list. Supposedly they don't let you sell live animals, so I can't put bees on there and sell like nukes in there. And I'm sure there's ways around it. On how you word your response or something in there.
You can't list it in the selling section. You got to list it as a discussion.
Oh, really?
Yeah. If you put in there that you just want to have a discussion, and you put what you actually selling, but you don't say selling, you just say I have some bees to rehome.
Oh,
Contact
really?
Contact me with more information. And it doesn't trigger any of their words
filters.
and make them take you out.
You have nukes available.
That's how we sell a lot of our rabbits and geese and those sort of things. It just be like, we have these rabbits up for discussion.
Yeah, because I have a couple of pugs that I sell, baby pugs every now and then with, and we can no longer sell them on Facebook. But if I put on there that I have a baby pug to rehome, people know that now as the keyword, because they'll text me, how much is the rehoming fee?
Right. Well, I also what I've noticed is if I just put pictures of the bottled honey up, that people will ask me where they can get it from, and then I'm not listing it for sale. They just ask me, well, how much is it? Well, message me or I'll put it in there. Yeah. And then they have that's how I got that second yardly, is that someone came to buy honey and they're like, well, we've got all this property. If you want to bring some bees out there, I sure do.
That's how I've got my I got my home yard, but I got 3 out yards, and that's how I got all 3 of my out yards was the farmer's market. One of the other vendors down there with the 20 acres, that's my number 4 yard.
Well, and they've been out there a month, and I was more worried about the strawberries than I was the chestnuts, because I just didn't know what they were spraying and how often. So I moved some nukes out there as a trial to see how they would do, not knowing, right? I didn't know if they were going to die or whatever. But yesterday when we were out there, every one of them had a laying queen. And, every one of them was working. So they're doing good. So I might have to Dave on. I might have to move some more colonies out there. I got to talk to the owner and see how much is too much, because I don't want to move colonies and have to move them back. I told them if they ever think there's too many bees out there, just let me know and I'll move them. But they've got 18 and a half acres. And, I've got 30 plus colonies over here on an acre. So
how many of you guys have ever used that super DFM?
I have.
Because allegedly it will force all the bad chemicals out of the bee. Like, they pick up these chemicals, these
Thing of it is, the chemicals are in the wax.
what's that?
I say the chemicals, your wax is like the liver of the hive. It sucks up all your pesticides and whatever. That's why they're talking about switching the chemical or switching the wax out every 3 to 5 years and stuff. I don't know. All that hocus pocus stuff, I'm not sure.
I was just wondering if you thought the DFM would actually help the bee gut.
It's a probiotic stimulant.
Yeah.
I don't know. It might. I mean, I
used it last year. I used it right before winter, to hopefully give them a boost. They kind of clean their gut out before they go into winter.
I've heard some, reputable people say that there's some benefits to it, but I'm not in a area that has a lot of pesticides, and I also live in Oklahoma, so they're not getting long periods of time without cleansing flights and stuff. So I've just never even spent a whole lot of time looking into it personally.
Well, the only reason I was even worried about it over there was because they're so close to that strawberry field. Literally like 3-4 blocks in there on strawberries. So
and they'd be hitting them strawberries.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is that I just didn't know. I know they use fungicides and stuff like that, but the law here is that you can't do it during the day. They have to do it at night.
Man, I'm telling you, over here in Georgia, where I'm working at the moment, there are crop dusters everywhere, spraying everything over here.
I think the nearest agriculture I have around me as far as crop dusting and spraying is probably about 25 miles away, and they got a lot of sugar cane.
Sugar cane down there?
Yep. Louisiana produces a lot of sugar cane.
Mm-hmm. I got a lot around my house.
It smells when they burn. It stinks when they burn the fields, though.
Yep. South Louisiana has a lot of sugar cane. North Louisiana has a lot of soybean and cotton.
Sugar cane, and you don't get a lick of nectar from it.
Really?
So Joshua Rockin' Honeybee Farm says nuke box for sale with free contents, $175. That's how he posts it.
That sounds quite ingenious.
But you know what? Craigslist does not ban that. So I go on Craigslist and list queens or list, nukes or something on there. It's not used as much as it used to be, but you're in a national forest. That's great.
Josh, you used that super DFM?
It helps with nosema.
You on Facebook, I've seen, like 2 bee boxes, and it'll be a picture of a hive, for like $300. And so you can kind of assume that there's bees in there based on the price,
Right.
Yeah.
They'll pretty much say there's not, but it's just a workaround.
Always a loophole.
Yeah.
So, Will, in Oklahoma, do you have much of a pollen flow,
in my area, there's a pretty good amount of pollen. But if you go just about 30 minutes west of where I'm at, like over where my parents are at, I had bees out there for a little while, and there's significantly less. So it just kind of depends where, there's a bunch of oaks and stuff over there where they live. Whereas where I'm at, there's a lot more diversity. And it seems to be pretty decent, like a little bit south of Tulsa and stuff as well.
right?
It's not too bad.
And well, how long how many years you been at working bees?
Well, so this would be my third year, but about each year I've had bees in a different location. So I bought property.
You were saying that you're grafting and things like that, and I mean, kind of going back to the bee club thing. I think you're kind of like moving at leaps and bounds to where a lot of bee club people, especially where I'm at, is a lot of new folks, and they're not. I find there's a lot of folks that, like, for me, I'm like you. It's like I want to learn how to do queens, and I want to learn how to do everything. And a lot of club members are like, all I really want is 3 or 4 beehives, and they're not interested in doing all this other sophisticated bee work.
Yeah, so basically, I knew I wanted to keep bees for a while before I actually got bees, and I spent an abnormal amount of time on research, and most of that being YouTube, of course, for probably 3 years before I actually got bees. I decided I wanted to keep bees after I just kind of stumbled across one of Mr. Ed's videos, where he was doing the cutouts, and I was like, man, that's interesting, you know what I mean? And then, I read some books, watched more videos, and just was like, man, I definitely want to keep bees. But I didn't want to buy bees and put them where I was at. I was living at the time right in the middle of town in Fort Smith. I mean, it would have been fine. I just had things going on. I knew I was going to be moving back to Oklahoma, hopefully at some point. And then shortly after I moved back to Oklahoma, I had a house that I was going to tear down. And in the pre-construction meeting, I was going to build a little subdivision kind of thing up there in Northwest Arkansas, like the Bentonville area where Walmart's headquarters are. But anyway, they said, well, we got to find a beekeeper or something to get these bees out of the house before we can let you guys tear it down. And I said, oh no, I got you. I can get them out of there. Of course, I never touched a bee in my life, you know what I mean? But I went home real quick and just built a vacuum, off of what I'd seen, you know what I mean, Mr. Ed use, over the years. I built it a little different, but and then that weekend I went and got those bees out, and that's how I got started. So
yeah, but you got that beekeeper desire.
Yeah, and I've done, as far as green light cutouts and trap outs and stuff, I've done double digits at least removals and stuff, and so I feel like that really helped me as well, as far as like the learning curve. I didn't just like get a box with bees in it and just like, I don't know, do I go in, do I go out? I mean, I literally went and removed the colonies, and so I kind of had an idea of like what was going on there. Plus all the years of research, you know what I mean, helped too. Still though, even all that research, like I would go in and be lost as a goose, it seemed like, and then I'd go back afterwards, I'd sit and think back, oh duh, you know what I mean? So until you get in there and do it, it's not the same as just, looking at it online or reading about it, but it does.
Yeah, but the thing that, from what I can see, being successful in your situation is the fact, like you said, you like to research it. You like to keep a knowledge base, keep coming with more knowledge as much as you can get it. And like you said, you were spending a lot of time in your bees and working them and whatever, and on probably research. And that's what makes a good beekeeper. Where, I get some folks that, they put bees in a box and they walk away and like they're just supposed to take care of themselves. It doesn't work that way anymore. And they're the ones that are always saying their hives either swarm or they die. Yeah.
And I've tried not to like pick favorites and stuff too. I mean, obviously there's people like Bob Binney, Ian Stepler, and those people that I look up to. Michael Palmer is a big one. But I mean, like, I want to know for myself too. You know what I mean? I'll try just about anything that I see that makes sense with the science wise. You know what I mean? I'm not going to do something that doesn't make sense with what I know about bees based on like scientific, like that's what they do. I'm not going to try something goofy, but there's things people say like, oh, you can't do this or you can't do that or you have to do this. But then you see somebody else do it different. So I'm like, well, I'm gonna try it too. Maybe I can get away with that. Maybe I can't. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I'm willing to
Those three people that you talked about they're the one I watch all those guys.
Yeah.
When I first started, Michael Palmer was kind of like the main guy out there on the circuit, I guess, and that's why I got into nukes and found, where I keep telling people here that nuke boxes are just not a box; it's a tool, and there's so much that you can get the bees to do through manipulation because of the confined space and stuff. Wax building and all kinds of different things, and it's just those are good people to be watching. They're the ones you want to watch because they have real world experience. They're all commercial guys, and I've always found that if you want to learn how to keep bees, talk to a commercial guy if you can get him to talk to you and stuff, because they'll do things that nobody else does. Because they're like used to be, oh, you can't move bees from one hive to another because they're going to fight and kill each other. Commercial bees guys do it all the time, but they don't fight.
Right.
I mean, talking about like a frame of bees.
Yeah.
They just take a frame of bees, put them in another hive, and you're done.
Mhm.
And the bee books say different, but the bee books, half the time, the people who write the bee books don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah, I used to. My first year, I did some paper, newspaper combining, and then, going into the next spring, I'm watching Ian Stepler and those guys equalizing their colonies. I'm like, wait a second, how are they equalizing their colonies if they're not just throwing the bees from one box to the other? And so everything, throw bees from one box to the other.
Yeah, well, you can equalize frames from one box to the other with the bees and whatever. But now, if it's if you got a queen and her group of bees, I mean, Ian does do some papering in, and I'll do some papering in depending on what the situation is. Like if it's if you're trying to go from a big queenless hive, lots of bees, and you're going to drop a nuke in there with a queen, then I would paper in.
Hey, Brian.
So anyway, I just sound like you're definitely right on the track. You know what you're doing, and what I'm getting at is when it comes to the bee club, you're ahead of the bee club. Because most bee clubs, it's mostly beginners. At least it is from around here. It is the one I actually take care of as far as
I try to help out those guys. There's a lot of like you said, beginners that ask questions on the Book of Faces, and man, some of the answers that the more experienced beekeepers will give out are just like, come on, man, you got to explain it. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
someone will be like, my queen hadn't, they swarm, my hive swarmed on me. Oh no, it's been 2 weeks. I don't see any eggs. You know what I mean? I guess I need a queen. And then someone will like post a queen calendar, you know what I mean? Of like the deals with no other explanation. So it's like, they don't know what, obviously if they don't understand that their queen may not be laying yet, like you're going to have to explain that to them. You can't just throw that timeline out there and expect them to just catch that.
Brian caught COVID on his first trip out of town.
Oh,
Probably from that canned air.
Somebody already had
Somebody
it on
else
their nose.
already had it on their
Yeah.
nose, and you came and picked it up and put it on your nose.
Keep
Everybody
us
in the
updated
store
on that,
says,
Brian.
"Look, Mom, fresh air."
Well, I hope you feel better. That's for sure.
Yeah, like Mr. Paul says, whether you run in 5 or 1,500, I mean, the fundamental of the beekeeping is the same.
Exactly. I need more air. But yeah, I mean, that's the thing is, and then you see people ask questions on there. This is the little bit of frustrating thing. You see some of the questions, I'm a firm believer there's not a dumb question, but at the same time, I try to research it myself first before I go and put it on there, right? So if you see a question about something like that, I don't see anything. Obviously, that person hasn't taken any time to even look at any YouTube on my hive just swarmed, what next? And you could probably find 500 videos. right? Now 500 different answers, but at least on the video, they're kind of explaining it.
Well, I feel like some people get bad advice on that. Like some people will actually instruct people not to learn from YouTube. Like I've seen people say that online, like, oh, you need to get a mentor. You need to be in your club. You don't need to be watching videos. You won't know what's right and what's wrong. You know what I mean? So I think some people are afraid to study for themselves because they think it's over their head because people told them that.
I disagree.
Right.
I disagree when it comes to everything. You want to get good at something, you have to try it. You have to do it. Yeah, you know, if you want to get into bees, you have to have bees. You have to see what they're doing. You know, I mean, if you have the interest, then you'll become an expert at it. If you don't have the interest, you won't become an expert at it. It's like, how do you think Eddie Van Halen got so good at playing guitar? It's because he wasn't able to afford the pedals that all these other people can buy. So he had to do the things to make the guitar sound that way.
Right. Well, I mean, there is something, I mean, definitely you're going to, I mean, William, you and I are a lot alike as far as watching videos for years before we actually got our first bees and started beekeeping. So the knowledge in my head, I felt like I knew more than I actually ended up knowing that I knew once I got bees, right? But I felt like I knew a bunch. And then once you put your hands on it, it's a different thing. And then you have a whole new set of questions. But I found, like you said, on Facebook, you know, if you got a group called Beekeeping Hacks and somebody has a question, you'll get a response back in this huge group that says, where's the hack in that? Well, maybe I'm asking for a hack, not giving a hack. You know what I mean? I want to know what I should do. Is there a hack to do this? But they're just like, where's the hack in that? You know, it's like, why are you even posting this? It's I find that on Facebook, they're a little bit short, you know, like you said, with no answer or don't want to answer it, but they'll leave a comment. They just don't want to give you the information, you know, which is unfortunate.
Here's my hack on trying to catch a swarm. This is what I did. I don't know if it's a hack. You have 2 beehives and you put a nucleus or a 5 frame in between the two, and you spray Swarm Commander on it, and they show up.
And it worked. But you know, but at the same time, I've got on both sides of my property, I have swarm boxes that I continuously hit with Swarm Commander. I haven't caught not one swarm in either one of them. You know, and I've got bees everywhere, and I figure out those are like insurance for me. So like if one of my hives swarms, then maybe it'll catch it. But I haven't caught any wild swarms in my swarm boxes.
I think I've got like 3 swarm traps out right now, and I think I've caught ants in every single one of them.
I've had 4 out this year and hadn't caught one swarm.
Put them higher or something.
Now, last year I put a swarm box in my old lady's work. I caught 3 swarms in 3 weeks in the exact same box.
Yeah, there's people out there. I mean, that's their whole thing. They just go out and put swarm traps out and catch swarms, and maybe they know enough people with land, and you know, I don't know. That's not my gig, you know. So I don't.
Now, Bob, you got plenty of bees, so you don't have to worry about getting swarms.
Yeah, I got to worry about keeping my bees in their box. I got.
That's what I was thinking, because I put out 4 boxes this year, caught 3 swarms, and I figured next year I don't want to put out any because it's way much more work for a swarm than just splitting.
Yeah, just put the swarm traps on your own property to make sure you can catch your own.
Because I did catch one on my own yard, so, and that was pretty easy. So rather than fighting that ladder in that tree, I'm just gonna stick to the splitting.
So DC there. See, he knows to start at the bottom with Bob getting stung to the National Honey Show. There you go. So you covered the whole gamut. The worst beekeepers to the best beekeepers.
Yeah, with the grafting and splitting I've done this year, I'm gonna have to go grab my swarm boxes just to put bees in.
You see that? Larry said, quit working your bees and you'll be successful with swarms.
There you go.
That's true. That's a true
And then
story.
then you can get on YouTube and pick fights after you catch a bunch of your own swarms.
Don't make me mute you tonight, William.
All right, guys, I'm gonna leave y'all hanging here. Let y'all have fun the rest of the night. I'm going there and hang out with the old lady and eat a little dinner. Kind of late tonight.
Mine's over here still playing the video games, so.
But hope everybody has a good night.
All right. See you later,
All right,
Lee.
Lee.
Hey, we need to get
Good night.
together on get those names collaborated too, because
I got everything on my list, waiting on yours.
oh, you OCD bastard.
Yeah, everybody in the comments, make sure you leave a comment on last week's Tuesday Night Live to enter for a chance for that.
Yeah.
draw.
You got the picture handy? I know you do before you leave. So Tuesday night, we got 2 more weeks. This week and next week. That's the last 2 gift packs that we got from Blythewood Bee Company. So
So
I really need to. I really need to win this week.
Next awards.
Yeah, I really need to win this week so I can catch another colony of ants.
Colony, I saw somebody had that. I saw a video the other day. They had that swarm trap and they caught a swarm in it. Wasn't one of the ones we gave away that I saw, but it was somebody else had that exact same thing. They actually took a board and mounted the bottom piece to the board, and then they had that board strapped to the tree. So
Yeah, a lot of people use them. They just have to. You keep them in there too long because they build a lot of comb. You got to do like a cutout.
hey, LaGrange, that is a wood pulp swarm trap. So it's made out of like compressed paper, but it's hard. It's very hard. Earl won it that week and he did a video. So he's beating on it and everything else. And supposedly when it gets wet and dries back out, it dries out really hard.
I've seen some of them paint them though, and it'll just help waterproof it even more.
Yep, painting them.
But I'm going, guys. Y'all have, and ladies, y'all have a good night.
All right.
All right, Lee.
See y'all.
See you later, Lee.
Really?
So I went live for a while, and then you guys talked me into the live show. So we came on the live show, and we've been going almost 2 hours on the live show. So we've been doing it up. So what do you guys have planned for next month? What's on your, like, we're at the end of June now. What are you guys doing going into July?
No, we're
Or
going
June,
to
rather. Into June.
We're at the end of May.
We're at the end of May. Going into June, what's your plans?
Harvesting honey.
Fire protect everything, just in case someone gets crazy with fireworks.
Fireworks?
No, I'm good.
Don't want to burn the hives down?
Yeah.
What do you got going, William? What's your plans?
Well, I've got a bunch of nukes that are going to need more room. I know that. I'm hoping that the bees will start. It's pretty humid in my area, but I'm hoping that some of the frames will get capped. If I can get some capped before the flow ends, I'll spin it out and put it back in.
Right.
The empty frames.
That's kind of where I'm at. I got a lot of honey in uncapped frames right now. So I'm trying to let them do it, but if the flow's over for right now, I'm kind of at that too. I just pull it out and spin it and give them the comb back and let them work on it some more, clean it out. I don't know. So that's kind of where I'm at right now.
So you guys said you had swarm traps out. How high do you have them off the ground?
Oh, mine's about head high, about 6 to 8 feet.
I had mine about 10 feet.
I've got one in a deer stand, so that one's about 15 feet. I've got another one that's also in a deer stand, but I only hung it about 8 feet. That one's full of ants. And then I've got another one in the loft of my barn that's full of ants. And bees probably won't move into it anyway because the carpenter bees probably are going to run them off. And yeah, so I'm probably not the one to ask about swarm traps.
That's because I asked because I caught this swarm out there and I have the 5-frame nuke box sitting on a bench, sitting on a bench, just like
Yeah, I mean,
a couple of feet off the ground.
I removed a pretty small colony that ended up, I don't even know that they made it last year, out of a water meter can in the ground. So I mean, it just depends. I mean, you don't have to have everything exactly right for them to move in. You just want to check as many boxes as you can. So like 15 feet off the ground is probably best, but if you've got all the other things they're looking for and it's on the ground, your odds are still pretty high. So there's things you can do, like if you've got some brood comb in there, I usually throw some slum gum in the bottom, which slum gum is just, like wax and stuff that you filtered out. It's like that really smelly stuff after you process wax. I'll throw that in there. The size is important, especially early on in the swarm season. If you're going to catch a prime swarm, you probably want something a little larger than a 5-frame nuke box. More like the size of a deep is preferable. So there's a lot of different things. If it's a new wood box, it's not going to be as inviting as maybe an old box that you've used for a few years and has a lot of bee smell. Bees like to move into places where bees have occupied before, preferably. So, yeah, and then and if you do everything right, maybe you'll catch some ants like me.
Charlie, what you got coming up?
Well, if the weather cooperates, our flow still runs, I'll say, for the most part through June. So I'll be watching honey supers, and I need to keep on doing some grafting, and I don't know, kind of rebuild my nukes that I sold. I got some queen issues, and so I set up the nuke boxes like they're behind me there, and or they're the mating boxes. And I got them built, and I got some on my main line where I usually keep my nukes. So that's pretty much it. Just some, just kind of see how the swarm stuff, or not the swarm, but the honey flow goes. The poplar trees are out blooming here. The locusts, from what I can see from my property, the blooms that were on some of the trees across the road looks like they've been probably knocked off, because we've had a couple heavy downpour storms in the middle of the night. So that's kind of knocked the nectar out for sure, especially for this week.
Right.
But,
well, it's supposed to be cloudy this week here, but in the 90s. So
it's supposed to be good. I think up until I looked at the weather tonight, up till Thursday. My son, he cut the hay down yesterday, and they'll be baling hay here for the next day or two. I guess we'll be baling hay. But that's what I'm looking. Hopefully the bees will continue to fill the boxes that are on the hives, and I'll get some more queens grafted. And the last set of cells, or the first set of cells that I got, they were okay looking as far as the length of them and everything.
Right.
I usually like bigger cells, and I think that the hive that I stuck them in, which was queenless, probably the bees were a little bit too old. Need a little more younger nurse bees and stuff. So right. I'm going to try it out. That was my normal method I do, which is just a queenless hive, which is the I forget what the name of the method's called, but I've got some double screen boards I want to try to use with a queen right hive, so I can switch it around and see if that works any better.
Gotcha.
So,
well, so yeah. My main thing right now is trying to determine whether I should just pull the honey off that I've got and spin it and give them the comb back, or not.
Well, it's not capped here yet. I mean, some of it's starting to get capped. I don't know. I think there's like 30, 35 boxes of honey out there. So, but I'll say 10 of it is not hardly full, because they were put on a week ago, and this week they didn't do anything because of the weather. So we'll see what happens. See what kind of a year I'll get this year. Last year was great because it didn't rain. This year it's a little more on the wet and cold. side. And I
Giving
think,
every,
huh?
I'm giving a lot of blue wrenches out right now so they can squash these spammers when they come in. We're gonna up the army over there. But so yeah, I don't know. I'll probably just let it go.
Main thing I'd see for you is you got all them queens that you got in, and you put them in the 2-framers. You're gonna have to kind of keep an eye on them.
Yep.
You know, they don't run out of room, and see what kind of performance you got there.
Well,
and then kind of like manage, like you say, the population and the size of the hives and all that stuff.
Well, I've only got half of those boxes full, so it's my thought that if I need to, when those queens start laying here within the next week, if it starts really populating and they can, and I get some comb drawn on the other frame that's in there, that I'm going to take out the brood and just split those into the second set. So really, I've got like an A and a B, right? One's going to take a few weeks to generate a queen, and the other ones are laying brood, and then I can start using that brood to strengthen some of these other colonies.
Yeah.
So
you can boost, use it to boost other colonies, and just, you're going to turn them queens into brood factories.
Yep. That's the plan.
And equal, just keep equalizing, and you won't have the swarm issues when you do that. And that's a technique that I've learned last year, or actually a couple years ago, through talking to a commercial beekeeper. And I sit there and it's like, well, why isn't this kind of stuff taught in the beekeeping 101 classes and things like that?
Right.
That just, everybody talks about, we got swarms, and I'm like, well, you probably had 6 frames of cat brood in there 2 weeks ago, didn't you? Well, yeah. Well, there's no queen cells. I said, yeah, but when you're looking at that much brood, you need to pull about half of it out of there, and then you won't have swarms.
Well, that's, if you look at I don't know if you watched the video yesterday, but that second demoray that I did, the difference between that demoray and the first demoray that I did the demoray, but I was robbing and making splits out of the additional brood, which really kind of made a brood break in there for the queen waiting on in the bottom, waiting on the cone to be drawn up.
Right. That first video I seen that's been a month or so ago. The bee population just wasn't there.
But if you look at that colony yesterday, when I did that demoray, it had 9 frames of brood and I moved it up top, and now all that's hatching out. There's still some in there, right? Probably another week, and they'll all be hatched out, but they're backfilling that with nectar and honey now. That top box, and
upstairs.
And they're moving down. And
all right, so when you're running a demoray, you're taking the brood box off the bottom, and then you got, let's say, a couple honey supers, then you got a brood box up on top. So you're rotating your cat brood from the bottom box to the top box.
And taking 1 frame of brood with the queen goes in the bottom box with empty foundation. And she doesn't have any room, so the bees, the foragers, and everybody that are coming back now start to draw that comb out to give her more room to lay. So she's got about 6 frames in the bottom right now laid that she can lay in. And all of the bees from up top that are hatching, the nurse bees, are going back down to the bottom to where, they can't get out unless they go down anyway. But they go down and, here we got eggs. We got something to do down here now. And it's starting to populate the bottom, and you had 9 frames up top that are hatching out. So that colony has a lot of bees in it now, compared to the first one that I kept robbing the cells out and making splits early in the season, which really kind of weakened that colony, where it would have been much stronger had I just let it play through.
And see, that's that demoray. We discussed this demoray at this Pennsylvania club up here, where they do a lot of that. And those folks were, I'll say, beginners on their YouTube or Zoom channel, and they were putting up open larvae, and so they would draw queen cells upstairs. And I said, aren't you doing this backwards? You should be putting the brood up there and keeping the open larvae down there with the queen. And they were saying about making splits or what. I said, well, yeah, it depends on which way you want to, mess with it.
Right. But what they'll notice is if they're robbing them out like I was, it's going to take that queen's larva in the bottom 3 weeks to be capped and hatched. If you're taking everything from the top and moving it, you're taking most of the workforce, all of the life cycle that's happened in those 3 weeks out. You're just weakening that colony. If you're going to do that like I did, which I didn't think about it, I would have been better just to go ahead and make a nuke and let them make a queen and do it that way, right? As compared to doing the demarray. So the demarray is supposed to be an anti-swarm technique to allow you to build the numbers up in the colony and to start storing and drawing comb. But when you start robbing it out, all you're doing is weakening that colony. Right now. So, I mean, letting it play out on the second one, you could tell a night and day difference. If you watch the video I did that I did yesterday, it's long, but the first colony we went into was that demarray colony.
I'll have to look at that. Yeah.
And it's the one where it's titled like going through 100,000 bees with Ricky Rourke from horizontalbees.com.
Yeah, I've seen that. I saw that. I just
and with plus stings is what I put on there. So but
see, I mean, there's a perfect example where you started out doing it one way and then you learned the technique better.
Right.
The second time around, then you're like, oh, okay, this is what we need to be doing, and this is what the mistakes I did. And that's where that's the kind of videos that I like to put out, is saying, with detail, saying you need to look at that and you have to kind of judge the population.
Bob, talk about peppermints. Hey, the peppermints. Hey, Silver Gorilla, look at that. Peppermint works.
There you go.
It's worked for me. I actually put peppermints back in. I put peppermints in those nukes yesterday as well. I put peppermints in the 2-frame nukes, and they're gone. The soft ones definitely go. They eat them a lot quicker than the hard ones do, than the harder candy. The last ones I bought were the bigger, rounder ones, but they're easier to break. So in a 2-frame nuke, I'd break one in half and put one in the front, one in the back, and they were gone. They ate them. They're out of there. So,
where are you located, Sharon? Just out of curiosity, general area.
Still losing. Yeah, where you at, Sharon? I've been doing the peppermints and then added traps as well. Still losing. I've got peppermints in my peppermint sub. I've got peppermints in the colonies. Just make sure you're putting peppermints in every box. If you've got multiple boxes, put them in every box. Oh, Savannah. Yeah, south of me. And it could be an array of things, guys. People have said, well, someone said, well, it could just be a slow year for beetles. But we got people doing it Brad did. But that is true. But we've got people in Louisiana doing it, people in Kentucky doing it, people in Ohio doing it, people in South Carolina doing it. And we're all noticing the same things. But you might be the person that isn't having the luck. I mean, and we need to know,
And two things. I mean, one, I would say it looks like it's also been a slow year for dogs at Brad's house. And two,
he's ragging on you.
From what I've seen is, my big colonies that are healthy and aren't having a bunch of other stress generally don't have a problem with hive beetles, even when a lot of hive beetles are around. They usually keep them under control. So Sharon may be having some other issues with the bees, not just hive beetles. You know what I mean? And
Right.
They may be so weak that they're not fighting them at all. They may have some other stress that's to the bees may be more important than dealing with those hive beetles, and it's just making it a lot easier for them to overrun the colonies.
She says she's still losing it. Is she losing it due to swarming or
no, the beetles?
The
beetle battle. Yeah,
sliming her hive out.
It sounds like she's getting slimed out. Perhaps, I don't know. Maybe
so it's not easy to keep replacing the peppermints when you have double deeps with honey supers. Heavy work. You're right. Absolutely. What I try to
must not be losing those.
Yeah. So that's what I try to do when I do an inspection. I do it as I'm putting them back together, right? So once I've got it tore down, then I'll put them on and put the box on, put them on, put the box on. So what I've been told, and everywhere it's going to be different, but this time of year for us, we should be in our colonies at least once a week during the honey flow, right? And checking them to make sure. So that's what I try to do. I've been lucky, knock on wood. I started peppermint early, and I don't know, I'm going to say it's kept them lower. Little peppermint oil, DC saying in the feed, but may not be feeding. Most people don't feed during the honey flow. So, yep, I do that too. With the soft ones, when you break them, they're easy to crumble and put in the bottom too.
Now, have you find that peppermint gets into the honey? I've had people ask me that question.
I didn't taste peppermint in my honey when I tasted it yesterday.
Yeah,
but,
I don't think they would.
But bread drop. If you look at how much nectar that the bees have to bring in to make honey, it would be hard for me to say that there's enough peppermint in that colony to taint the honey. You know.
Yeah,
I think it'd have to be a pretty large amount. But for me personally, I won't put them in on a production colony just because I don't want to. I mean, I don't want to put anything in there that could, even if it's like 1 part per million, you know what I mean? I want to be able to say that there's nothing in there but nectar. But that's just personal. Right. I don't think the candies most likely won't make it into honey anyway. I mean, I think when they break those down, especially this time of year, they're producing so much brood and stuff. I mean, they're just going to feed it. They're probably just going to eat it and feed it. But I have heard, I think it was actually Cayman Reynolds. Someone had brought up the peppermints like when they first started taking off in one of his live chats. And I think he said that there was a beekeeper that would buy up candy canes after Christmas, like buy a bunch of them and would feed that to the bees. I mean, like put boxes of candy canes inside the hive and they would store it and he would sell it as candy cane. I don't think he would call it honey. Maybe he'd call it honey, but like he didn't lie about it. He said, look, this is honey made from candy cane. And it did. Maybe somebody else on here can correct me if I'm heard that from someone different than Cayman Reynolds, but I think it was Cayman Reynolds that said that.
We had a member in our club that used candy canes, and he just used it to feed them, for wintertime feed.
You see what happened to Cayman yesterday?
Oh, you mean that
little wax incident, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. He didn't kill
nice. I think it's nice that he showed that, being that, this is a mistake I made, and I showed it,
The best part was the look on his kid's face when he explained to him how you got to pick all this back, and they're like, what in the world? Like, what happened?
Sharon said, I'm removing honey supers now and cut my losses. They slimed 150 pounds last year.
Dang.
Yeah, if you got hive beetles bad, it's hard. They will humble you quick, which luckily, some northern beekeepers don't deal with hive beetles. They're lucky.
I mean, I don't deal with them, but there are other folks around me that, have them. But now there's always things that I tell them. I put carpet underneath my hives and I get it out of the dumpster, or most of the time I get a carpet layer that's whipping it out from somebody's house or building. and I will put a piece about 6 foot wide and whatever length, let's say 10 feet, and I put that underneath the hive stand, put the hive stand on top of the carpet. And I started doing that for the main reason was so it kills the grass and I don't have to mow. And it still does it actually puts it out about a foot or so past the landing board. And then I can run along there with the mower and mow the grass and, keep the weeds down. But secondly, I didn't, at the time I didn't know it, but it actually will break the life cycle of the beetle, where the larvae goes down into the ground and pupates, and it can't get into the ground. Now, there's a lot of guys will, say to me, well, the larvae is going to crawl. They did experiments and all this different stuff. And I'm like, well, all I can say, it works for me. So it's like the peppermint. And, it's like I've told some folks about the peppermint, and they're giving me all these naysayers. And I'm like, you got a problem. Why don't you try it? If it don't work, it don't work. And it ain't going to cost you a couple bucks.
Right.
For a bag full, kind of keep an open mind on things like that and see if it works.
Well, that's the same thing here. I've got the black. I put black mesh down, the gardening mat. I put that down. I've got some diatomaceous earth underneath that, and I've got the wood chips on top of that. So they have to go through several layers to get to the ground. The problem is that it's the larva going through your honey that slimes it out. So it may not work for you this year, but it's a preventative thing going forward, to break that cycle.
I've had one slime out, and it is absolutely disgusting. I caught the only swarm I've ever caught in a swarm trap. I caught it in a 10-frame box. Looked in, there was a queen. Everything looked good. They had a lot of room. And I didn't check that colony for, I don't know, three or 4 weeks. You know what I mean? And then I opened that thing up, and they had slimed out multiple frames. It was absolutely disgusting. I think what they'd done is they tried to supersede that queen, which, I didn't think about it at the time, but, that is kind of common. They'll swarm, and then, sometimes they'll supersede and replace that older queen. I think that's what they've done. There must not have been a successful, mating flight on the replacement queen, and they didn't have a queen, and so they got weak, and, man, it was absolutely disgusting.
Yeah, it's pretty.
Now see, Sharon's gonna try the black rubber, and LaGrange bees are talked about using rubber mats and stuff. I find it works for me. So,
well, you're breaking that life cycle, right?
I'm breaking the life cycle, and it just seems to work for me. Now there'll be the naysayers, especially with me. They'll say, "Oh, the beetles fly and they go from one hive to the next," and I'm sure they do. But
the larvae don't fly.
That's right.
And the larva is what's got to make the beetles.
It's just like the peppermint. If the peppermint works, like you all say,
Yeah.
you're controlling the population to the point where you can deal with it, or the bees can deal with it. So, whatever works. Try something.
Are your colonies in direct sunlight, or are they in the shade?
Oh, that's another thing. 100% sunlight.
Yeah, mine are in sunlight too.
Direct sunlight helps.
Big difference, because I've had a couple guys. Oh, I'm totally taken over by beetles. I said, bet you got them underneath the tree, don't you? Yeah. And I said, well, there's your problem. That's one big key, is that direct sunlight definitely works. And then they'll say, well, the old bee books used to say you got to put your hives in dappled sunlight. And it's like where I'm at in Maryland, it gets hot, but it doesn't get hot. Let's say like Wilders in Oklahoma. I guess it's sort of like a desert area, isn't it? Will, where you live in Oklahoma?
Where do I live?
Yeah, I'd say you live in Oklahoma. Isn't it kind of a desert atmosphere?
Not really where I'm at. I live in the northeast corner of it, so closer to, it's pretty close to Missouri, northwest Arkansas. So it's kind of starting to get into the Ozarks a little bit. You know what I mean?
Okay, grassy and trees and stuff.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, that's, it kind of depends where you live also. If you're in a very extreme heat area where it's sort of a desert atmosphere, yeah, maybe you're going to have to, give them some shade. But for me, I don't worry about it.
But yeah, I mean, it doesn't hurt if you're going to try to catch beetles to use a multifaceted, put the peppermint in. I still put oil traps in if that's what you use. If you got them, use them. It's not going to hurt anything to catch more. If you got a bunch of them, use whatever. Swiffer sheets. What I found with my Swiffer sheets is it would catch a lot of beetles, but I still had beetles. So that was when purple started coming off pepper, I'm like, I'll try it, sure. And it's definitely different this year than it was in the years past.
Yep.
So anyway, guys, I'm going on 11:30, or actually just over 11:30 now.
Yeah, I'm ready to roll.
Yeah. And I think I'm gonna wrap it up. And appreciate all you guys coming and hanging out with us on Memorial Day weekend. I know all you guys got the work week coming up. William, you don't get to go home till next weekend?
Maybe. I got something I really need to be over here for on Wednesday, and what I'm working on right now is still isn't quite wrapped up. So I'm debating on whether or not I even fly home or not between now and Wednesday.
Okay. Well, I'm sure we'll be able to tell by your setting change on the next stream. But we appreciate you guys. Thanks for coming in. Thanks for hanging out with us. Thank you to Lee for making a guest appearance on his own show. We appreciate him. I gotta put my stinger in like they do the bees. And everybody sting that thumbs up button.
Bob, I was going to tell you, if you want to look my video up, you might want to put in Rick, capital I, and then the last name, Morris. Let
me see. Rick R with a capital I. Morris.
All right, I'm heading out. See you later,
Nice
William.
talking to you, Charlie. I don't think we've been on at the same time before. But
No, I mean, sometimes I'm super busy. We're trying to get stuff done, and
my internet's garbage at the house too, so I try to get on if I'm at the office or something. But
I still don't see you.
All right, we're good talking with y'all.
I'll find you though.
See you guys.
All right, thanks guys. Have a good night.
See ya.
Appreciate you.
All right, Bob. I'll see you later, Bob.
All right, later, brother.
All right.
All right. All right. Thanks, guys. We'll see you later. And we'll be live soon. Just be waiting for it. We'll talk to you later. Good night.